The Joe Rogan Experience.
Because they're on the other team.
Yeah, dude,
That's terrifying.
that shit's really sad.
But it never used to be the left. That's what's the scariest thing to me. The left was never like advocating violence. They were the exact opposite. During the Vietnam War, they were the hippies. They were the people that wanted to bring the troops home. They're the people that didn't want war. They didn't want violence. They didn't want hate. They denounced hate. Now they're like talking about violence being the answer to certain political movements. I saw punch a Nazi.
I saw a term on Reddit that I liked a lot called liberal Baptist. Have you heard of this?
No.
So basically the idea is like, you know, like in fundamentalism of any sort, really like the idea is when you're saying that you're religious, you're not really interested in another person's soul or saving another person. What you're interested in doing is creating an ethical hierarchy that you can dominate by being at the top of the ethical hierarchy, right? So what you're running into with this shit that you're talking about is people who don't really seem so concerned with how society is supposed to be as much as using their refined system that they've come up with, which is like they call being woke, or you know what I mean? It's like it's this crazy, it's hard to even keep up with it. Right. But they use it to try to dominate the people around them by making you scared to speak your mind. Because the idea is like, you know, one of the guests on my podcast that I get fucking yelled at more than anybody else for having on, Jordan Peterson. That really pissed a lot of people off that I had him on my podcast.
Why?
Because they feel they misunderstand him, and they think that Jordan Peterson hates transgendered people, I think, or they think that he's they think that he's like alt-right. They think that he's like some kind of alt-right spokesman. And the truth of the matter is, I don't fully know all of the spectrum of Jordan Peterson's views on things, because it would take me a very long time to do that. I know he's fucking smart. I know it was really cool for him to come on my podcast, and I know we had a really great conversation that didn't really talk about that stuff.
Right, but it didn't fit the narrative that they want. The narrative that they want is that he's a hateful person, and that he hates transgender people, and that he's a bigot, and that he's this right-wing, alt-right poster boy. But it's not real. The problem is people aren't willing to adjust that. Once they stand on that stance, once they have that position, that this is, I'm left wing, this guy's right wing, he's a pig, he's ruining things, like that's, they just make up their mind.
But let me add one thing to this.
Okay.
Imagine this. Imagine Jordan Peterson, and I don't know, but just imagine there is a piece of him that doesn't, for whatever reason, like I don't know. I'm not saying this is him. I'm not implying it either. I'm just saying, imagine fucking Jordan Peterson. I don't know. I'm trying to think of some offensive thing that just imagine he had some piece of him that was definitely politically not correct, right?
Okay.
That doesn't mean that all the other shit he's saying is invalidated by some piece of him, because people are made up of lots of different pieces.
Well, that's basically, in a way, I'm not categorizing Jordan Peterson the way you categorize Descartes, but that's what he was saying.
Right.
That with great people, they also have, what was the word he used? Not great sin, but great, what was the word he used? Do you remember the word? The expression he used?
They've got shit.
Yeah, great flaws as well.
This
great vices. That's what he said.
This is, to me, where the big fucking problem is that people have lost the ability to be nuanced, and people have, and that to me is where things are really fucked up right now, which is like, we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Yes.
And I'm not saying like, oh, let's give a platform to people who have like
hate speech.
But to the idea that we have gotten to the point now where just like freeballing and throwing around ideas, just like we've done all over the place here. I guarantee when I look at Twitter, there's going to be at least like 5 people being like, you fucking cuck piece of shit, only because like I'm throwing around ideas, because my hope is through that process I'm going to get closer to the truth, and I'm going to be able to look at myself like what you said about the Coke boy. You know what I mean? I liked it because you're right, and I like what you did, even though it's comedic, it's funny. you're right, dude. Why am I giving that guy a hard fucking time?
What is he going to do? He can't not be born a Coke son.
Right.
He's like, he can't change his birth.
Yeah,
he is who he is. But meanwhile, what is he doing? Is he taking over countries in Africa? No, he's making cute shirts and he's banging a hot woman.
Yeah.
Leave him alone!
But I like that, having these kinds of interactions with friends, because it helps me adjust. Even though I don't have any real animosity for the Koch brother, from that kind of thing, I can look at my own fucking pattern and be like, whoa, shit, yeah, that's something to think about, because I could be more compassionate there.
Yeah.
So my point is, what ends up happening and what leads to someone who started off being, who considers themselves part of a group that's trying to stop war, that spawned the hippie movement, and now they're like thankful that a train accident happened. That is a result of gradually shutting down their ability to understand that a human is much more than just one fucking thing. Jeff Sessions is not just an anti-marijuana person. Jeff Sessions is probably an elf, and a sweet elf at that, and a person who's got a lot of love in him and has done a lot of good things for a lot of people. But also, he's got the worst fucking concept of what marijuana is, and that sucks. But that doesn't invalidate any of the love he's expressed throughout his life. And this is unbearable for some people to deal with, because we want a Darth Vader.
Well, it's because we are inclined to gravitate towards tribalism. It is a part of being a human being. It's always going to be a part. It's the same reason why those Egyptologists were rejecting these ideas from John Anthony West and Robert Shaw, because they weren't a part of the tribe.
Yeah.
These new people coming in with some shit that they didn't figure out on their own. There's a thing that people do on whether it's male versus female. You're seeing a lot of this when it comes to this Me Too stuff. One of the weirdest things that happens is that you start getting this divide where the men are mad at the women and the women are mad at the men. Even people that are non-offenders and non-victims. People, they shore up on teams.
Yes.
And yes, it's good that people are being exposed for doing bad things to people, but it's also very dangerous for us to just, men and women, be on opposite teams. We're humans.
Right.
We're supposed to be nice to each other. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier. We don't say that enough. I really don't think we say that enough. I really think we need to. It should be reinforced, and it sounds like, oh, that's a fucking great thing. That's your advice, bro? Be nice to each other?
Yeah.
Yes, it is my advice. It's not my only advice.
Right.
I think you should also get your shit together. I think you should have some fucking discipline.
Yeah.
I think you should eat right. I think you should do a lot of things. I think you should read books. I think you should pay attention. I think you should try to educate yourself. I think you should try to be aware about objectivity and tribalism, aware of the influence. But I also think it would be really nice if we all just agreed to be nicer to each other.
But